Well, this was going to happen. This was going to happen sooner or later. Um, this was not even in question if this was going to happen. It was going to happen. If you took every single Leave voter and then showed them Boris Johnson's deal, there's a good probable number of them that would probably switch their votes based on the deal that they saw of Boris Johnson's deal. Like I say, many Leave voters were quite happy to vote for Leave because they were assured by the Leave campaign that we will be staying in the single market and customs union. Again, interesting that they decided to, shall we say, cast such a wide net of opinions during that campaign, and yet again we were right in saying that no, a vote for Leave is to leave the European single market customs union. But Leave were very, very quick to remind people that that was not what their intention was at the time. And as we've seen since then, not only has there a study recently come out that people are overwhelmingly in favor of working with the EU and tying and having closer ties, which again will lead us back to being in the EU, but also people are very quickly turning against Boris Johnson's deal because they are very quickly realizing it is not what was all promised. Like I say, you can't fool all the people all the time forever. You know, the hot air balloon of the Johnson government will sooner or later run out of hot air. They cannot sustain it forever. Um, a project built on lies will not stand. And we're seeing that edge closer and closer to reality. Like I say, it's almost the first full year of Brexit. And has it gone well? No, it really, really hasn't. Much of it, of course, has been obscured, of course, by the pandemic, which is, again, the primary hope, of course, of many of the Brexiteers that they were hoping for, that the pandemic would cover much of their damage. But again, post-pandemic, we're already seeing economists saying how difficult it is going to be for the UK economy to even recover from this. And even worryingly, that we could potentially going back to the 1970s and experiencing stagflation, where any advancement in the UK economy is pretty much wiped out because there is an accompanying inflation rise as well, which pretty much wipes out any increase in GDP. Again, to really solve this issue, again, we have to join the European Union and sort out our economy that way. That was how we got out of that mess. So history has a bizarre way of repeating itself. But anyway, we're going to jump into this study that came out today about Boris Johnson's Leave voters are now going cold on his own Brexit deal. So before we do that, please do hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course, the YouTube memberships are open as well. So thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way as well. So on with this. So this comes from The Independent with the title, Leave Voters Go Cold on Boris Johnson's Brexit Deal Study Finds. Voters across the political divide are going cold on Boris Johnson's Brexit deal, as the implications become ever clearer, a new study has found. Leave and Remain voters have become even more likely than they were in January to say that the UK has got a bad deal with the EU. The new study by the National Centre for Social Research, or NetSat, found that just 12% of people believed that Britain got a good trade deal in August, a decline from at least 21% who took the same survey back in January. The opinion, of course, has hardened among Remain voters from 66% who now say the bad deal was procured, compared to 53% back in the beginning of 2021. But among Leave voters too, the balance of opinion has tilted away from approval, with Brexiteers no more likely to say that the deal has indeed been good. Oh, there we go. So in January, 35% thought that Mr. Johnson had got a good deal, compared to just 22% thinking it was a bad one. Now, 63% say it is bad, against just 22% who say it's good. The eminent political scientist John Currick, who oversaw the study, says the results show that people are going off the deal, but for different reasons. The Brexit deal is being criticised from two directions. These opposed to the policy in principle, and those who dislike the way it has been implemented in practice, Sir John said. a professor in politics at the University of Strathclyde. The people on the Remain side of the debate are relatively united in their dislike of an outcome whose practical objective is one that they oppose in the first place. Meanwhile, some of the Leave side feel that the UK is still too tied closer to the EU's orbit, while others would have preferred a far softer Brexit. And of course, those with strong views on Brexit, the partisans on both sides, are proving still the most difficult for the government to actually satisfy. And as a result, the nation is still divided over the outcome of the Brexit process. It comes, of course, after a series of problems blamed on the deal for the issues of the British fish exporters to a shortage of lorry drivers and the crops rotting in the fields. The government is still trying to renegotiate parts of the withdrawal agreement it agreed to relating to Northern Ireland as well. And of course, that's the whole thing. Yeah, of course this was going to happen. Of course this was going to happen. We said this right from the very start. Right from the very start. Even when Boris Johnson came in and said, don't worry, I'm going to solve all this. I'm going to go and negotiate this absolutely fantastic deal because somehow, Britain again held all the cards. Again, repeating many of the lies, of course, that people like Michael Gove and Daniel Hannan, etc., all promised at the referendum. This was never ever going to work out properly. Economists called it since day one. We've been right there all this while. We've even seen, again, a prominent Brexiteer very recently saying how wonderful British agriculture would be post-Brexit, came out very recently and said, this is absolutely a nightmare. British agriculture has been almost destroyed because of this Brexit deal. And of course, this deal is going to roll on and on and on. And as I said at the beginning, there were lots of people out there who, at the referendum, if you remember the argument when it came up about leaving the single market and customs union, time and time again, the Leave side said, so that they could attract as many, quote, soft Brexiteers as possible, to the idea that a vote for Leave was not voting to leave the single market and customs union. They said that on multiple times. If you don't believe me, there is many videos out there of Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Daniel Hannan infamously said only a fool would talk about leaving the single market. Richard Trice, Dominic Cummings even said himself that, this vote for Leave wasn't to leave the single market. Again, what ended up happening was the Brexit ultras, the Brexit purists, eventually took over under May and pretty much forced through the hardest possible of Brexits they could possibly manage. And even then, this really hard Brexit that we currently have at the moment is still not hard enough for them. They're pushing for an ever harder Brexit. And of course, eventually, that's not what people want. We've again just had a very another study recently that basically said people do not want this constant antagonism that Johnson is playing with the EU. In fact, many people see the EU as a far better partner than the US. That's how political direction is going, and it just shows you how out of step the Conservative Party is really becoming with the common voting public. And that's what happens. That's what happens with the Tory party all the time. They are notoriously go very, very quickly out of step with public opinion because in the Tory party, they've over very number of recent years, even though the party has shifted right, the politicians that they have elected for the MP positions are even more hard right than the people who elected them. Again, this is part of the reason why the Conservative Party is going to be in such a mess. And trust me, even if they get rid of Boris Johnson, as we've said before about this, the political fault lines there are still going to be there. They're still going to be there. And I've often said it's not just the parliamentary political party of the Conservatives you've got to watch, it's also the non-parliamentary political party of the Conservatives you have to watch as well. And trust me, a lot of them in the outside of the political party, in the party membership, do very much want a lot closer ties with the EU than the MPs that many of them elected are actually pushing for. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button down below. And also, is my link down below for my Patreon page and a one-off donation link to where you can buy me coffee. And of course, YouTube memberships are open as well. So, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel. And of course, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.